Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I am going to be starting a new Warframe account. I know it's pretty weird, this game is fairly old at this point, but I had an idea for a new account and I figured it'd be interesting enough and might help some other players maybe in my same position or just newer players getting into the game, so I figured why not make a little series on it. So a little backstory, in the past I did have a Warframe account that I kind of felt like beat the game. I was around 20 mastery at the time and could kind of just do everything in the game very easily by myself, and that's generally how I played. I was able to get almost everything in the game, but I did always find it kind of weird that even though I was able to get almost everything in the game, that really didn't mean that I did all of the content in the game. And by that, for anyone that doesn't know, you can acquire or skip a lot of content in this game just by using platinum, which is the paid for or premium currency in this game. I always did find that a little weird, but I never really thought of it too hard just because I was having a good time, so it didn't really matter. And obviously, if that is you, then feel free to just keep playing like that. No judgment here. That's definitely how I played for the majority of my game time. But going forward, I thought it'd be interesting to take the idea of an old school RuneScape account that is the Ironman account and applying it here in Warframe. So for anyone that isn't familiar in old school RuneScape, you can make an Ironman account, which means you don't have any trading, you don't have any help from other players. It's really just progressing your account by yourself for the most part. I am going to have a couple caveats I will go over for this account going forward, but for the most part, that's the idea of this account. I'm not going to be trading or buying things from players or even from the store if it means getting any power. So no blueprints for weapons, whether that be melee, main, secondary, or no warframes. All of these things are going to be acquired naturally, which I thought would be, I don't know if that's the way the game was designed to be, but I thought it would be a little bit more interesting, maybe a little bit more natural gameplay, because I do think it is incredibly normal in this game for you to just buy whatever $5 bundle they have on sale, or maybe there's a platinum sale and you pick up a few hundred or a few thousand. You know, we've all been there with the 75% off. And so I want to entirely skip that part of the game where you're just buying whatever Warframe looks cool. You know, it's unfortunate because they do have some really cool Warframes that come out and you just want to get them, but I figured it'd be a little bit more interesting for me going through and seeing a cool new Warframe and seeing how to get it and actually going through the process of farming it. Not only will that make the account progress take a little bit longer, you know, I don't want to beat the game too quick, but also it might be a little bit more interesting and more rewarding at the end of the day if I know everything I have is because of content I have done. And I do think that's cool because there's still a lot of content I haven't done even when I felt like I had beat the game. And since then, I haven't played this game for at least a handful of years. It's been quite some time, so there's a ton of new content. This is future me, and I already know that there's a few things I've ran into on the first few planets that I haven't seen before, and also just that I didn't know. It's very interesting going through this experience because even on that account that I felt like I'd accomplished so much on, small things are coming up here and there that I had never known before. For instance, certain mods coming from nightmare zones and how nightmare zones are unlocked. So simple things like that will be really interesting going forward for everyone else to learn as well, because maybe you didn't know that nightmare zones drop specific mods that only can be found there that are actually pretty good. In the past, I would just pay the 20 platinum to whoever in trade is selling those, but now I think this will be kind of cool to experience this, and I will be kind of going over tips or just things that I learn while going through the content so that maybe new players or returning players like myself have a better understanding of how the game actually works. So like I said, I'm not going to be buying power, but I have kind of an asterisk going forward. I do want to either sell stuff to players, not buy stuff, only sell stuff, or buy platinum. And this is specifically because I like amassing as many weapons and as many warframes as I can, because for anyone that doesn't know, in this game, you actually only get a limited number of slots for warframes and for weapons, and I don't want to limit myself to the base amount, which I think is like 5 or something like that. So if once I get new weapons, I like to keep them for as long as possible. So with that in mind, I do want to do limited trading, only selling stuff, so that I'm not getting any power. I'm still playing in this Ironman mindset, but I'm also able to continue progressing my account in a fun way for me, which means, gaining a large armament of warframes and weapons. And I think that's a really good middle ground for this idea. Either way, let me know what you think, whether you would want me to have never have traded on this account. I wouldn't mind spending some money on platinum for this same thing, or if you think it'd be cool to just trade here and there if it only means selling stuff. But one final thing I wanted to throw in here is I am going to be toying around with the length of the overall video. I do know some people like shorter videos, but some people also like to keep them on in the background while they're playing the game or just doing work or whatever. So I'm going to be toying around with that. Let me know your feedback and I'll try to adjust accordingly. So we can jump into the actual content of the video so far. There's been quite a bit of me rambling, so forgive me for that. Hopefully this is just some first episode kinks out of the way. As far as the content goes though, I did end up picking Excalibur. So in the beginning you get a choice between Excal, Mag, as well as Volt. All actually pretty good frames in their own right. I really have always loved the ninja aesthetic though, so I had to go with Excal. A classic warframe. He has some abilities that include you dashing to enemies and pulling out a plasma sword. So honestly, one of my favorite characters, and to go with the the whole ninja theme, I did end up going with the sword as well as the kunai and finally the bow. All actually pretty good weapons early on. I like them a lot. Obviously that's why I chose them over the other options, and it does give you that ninja vibe. And while I was playing, I just realized that the movement is still, even in the intro, the movement is still as fluid as I remember. And honestly, that's one of the best parts of the game for me, is just being able to jump around so easily and slide. Everything feels so satisfying. So I'm glad that they haven't lost any of that, fluidity and that ninja movement that I loved so many years ago. As far as the opening cinematic, that is brand new. I thought it was really cool. I had to include it here. That was the first time I ever saw it. It made all 3 of the base characters look super badass, and I just had to include it. It looked awesome. I don't know when they changed that, but that was definitely not in when I played, because that was super memorable for me. The intro is the same though. Funny enough, the opening cinematic is different, but the intro is the same. You are going to be going after Vor with the Ascaris, trying to worm its way into the warframe. So I just wanted to start off by going through that storyline. So I worked my way through the storyline. Pretty much whenever you are on a quest, you can continually just click on the quest and it'll take you there, or you can look out on the map and try to find it there as well. The first few maps were pretty standard. It was the spy map, the rescue map, and I think maybe an elimination map, but anyways, they're all just basic types that introduce you to the game a little bit. And all these quests were for you to rebuild your ship because your build had been kind of ravaged by enemies, I guess. So that's what we're doing. We went out into the world and got the different components for the ship, upgraded it. And one thing I did notice doing all these basic missions is it's nice. They actually give you a bunch of basic mods during this quest. You get all the damage mods, life mods, stuff like that. And what's nice is whenever I started playing, they would give you these mods, but they were broken and there was no way to repair them. You just got the broken, busted down version of these mods for seemingly no reason. They just wanted to give you a hard time, and you had to go find the regular versions later. But now these are the full-blown versions, so you can immediately start upgrading them without feeling like you're wasting any money or endo. That's, I think, a really nice change. And this was really cool. This was my first group I got into, which was actually the classic group. Now, all of these I am leaving open to the public for the most part, so if people do jump in here or there, That is to be expected. So I thought this group was really cool though, because it is the classic 3 mag, Volt, and Excalibur. So that was really neat. Honestly, it didn't last too long, but it was pretty cool. And then we ended up going through and defeating Vor. So that was cool too. Vor's Prize is the name of the first quest, and we were able to finish it. That was really nice. Honestly, too much hasn't changed, but the stuff that has changed I have liked. So I am glad to see that going forward. And overall, the gameplay still feels really good. It's still funny how rewarding the Paris headshot feels, the bow. The headshot still feels so good to like hit someone, you know, one shot them and they just go flying and get pinned against the wall. It's really really satisfying, really cool. Or just the sword, you know, exploding groups of enemies. Still really great gameplay. And it may sound like I'm like gushing about the gameplay, but it's just really fun. I don't know, this game is like one of the few games where I don't feel like I'm focusing on certain content. It really just like feels fun while I'm playing it. Like it's really enjoyable. I did get some mail though here. I didn't know what this was for. I got a bunch of mail, a bunch of free Forma, which for anyone that doesn't know, you can use Forma to improve your gear, and it'll add a polarity to some of your gear so that you can add more mods onto it. We'll do some of that probably in the future, no doubt. But you got a bunch of it for free here. Usually you get the blueprint, but this was just fully built. And I think this was all for the 11th year anniversary of the game. So that was really cool. We also got a cool sword, the Dex Nikana, I think it is, as well as an item I had never seen before. This must be new because I've definitely never seen it. I would have heard about it because it is really crazy. It's called the Legendary Core. So what the Legendary Core does is it just allows you to completely bypass the price for upgrading a mod. Any of your mods, it seems. And I don't know if this was foolish or not. I did end up using this on my Serration for rifles. Maybe I should have used this on something for a Warframe, because obviously I can use that for every Warframe, and I might swap to shotguns, or obviously melee. This doesn't include that or anything like that. This is only the rifle Serration. So maybe this was a mistake. I don't know. It just takes a lot of money and endo to upgrade your Serration. So I figured I'm going to be using a lot of rifles going forward. I might as well upgrade this now, and it'll be a good little boost whenever I can throw it onto a weapon. So I just did that. I probably should have saved it for a Prime mod in the way future, but hey, whatever. You know, if we get more, cool. If we're not, I'll just, you know, save up some endo. I figured it's probably not that big a deal, honestly. We did actually get to a pretty cool milestone. We got our first mastery rank increase. For anyone that doesn't know, there are multiple levels in this game. You have the levels of all 3 of your weapons, the levels of your Warframe, and every time you level up, you get mastery, and this is your overall accounts level. So once you get enough, it does spill over, so don't worry if you get to level 1 and you max out and you get to level 2, then don't worry, all that XP is still building up on your account. It just won't show until you take the mastery test and get into that next mastery. So that's what I did here. Very, very easy. You just go in, clear a little mission. I think this one was just killing enemies, and then you get rewarded with your next mastery rank. Not super important, but it is ideal to continue progressing your mastery. Each time you level up your mastery, you are going to get a few perks. The primary one, in my opinion, is going to be the perk of automatically having mod slots unlocked on weapons. So for instance, if you're a level 1 mastery, you'll have 1 mod slot point unlocked on a weapon, assuming that weapon is level 1. But even if that level 1 weapon is there and you are mastery level 30, then you'll actually have 30 mod points available. So you can put 3 10-point mods on there without ever having leveled up the weapon, which is a big boon for leveling up items, especially new items, obviously, because from level 1 makes them really, really powerful. So that, in my opinion, is the best part of mastery, as well as giving you access to new items that do require higher level mastery. This next thing is something I never ran into before, so I'm guessing it's new, but it doesn't seem like an event, and it is Nightwave. So Nightwave seems like it is kind of like a weekly thing that does reset sometimes daily as well, and it gives you little, what are they called? Like little objectives. So it might be killing enemies while sliding, doing an emote in the game, or doing a specific mission. But as long as you complete these, then it's just an additional way for you to get more goodies. You know, take out these objectives for them and they reward you with standing, similar to any of the other standing groups, which I'm sure we'll get into in another episode. But as you rank up standing, you get currency or rewards or even mod slots, weapon slots, stuff like that. And so it seems like another way to speed up your progression a little bit. And like I said, it does reset every week, so that's something I'll look forward to as well. Speaking of looking forward to something, I didn't know that I had the 1999 event to look forward to. I didn't know they were doing something in game, but I did start wanting to play this game again because of the 1999 event. So this is kind of the origin story for a lot of the Warframes, so that's kind of cool. I went into this area and there wasn't really anything you can do besides kind of meeting the main characters in this event, I don't think. So everyone was just here, you know, showing off their fashion frame. You know, so that's the whole point of the game, is to look cool. So we did look around. It was kind of an interesting old mall vibe, and you can see all the main characters, see all the people with their cool fashion frame, and I think that was mostly it, unless I missed something. I just ended up getting out of there after a few minutes. Lastly, I did go to Cetus. Pretty cool. This was probably one of the last things that came out or was coming out. I kind of forget which one it was, but I do slightly remember Cetus existing in a very early form whenever I was playing a while back. You did get to run around the Plains of Eidolon, which for anyone that doesn't know is actually an open world area where you can run around these giant open plains and you can get different materials from the world. You can even go fishing, and at night these giant boss mobs come out that can give some pretty cool rewards. I was able to finally, after kind of a long time, the storyline was a lot longer than I remember, I was able to finish the Saya's Vigil quest on Cetus. This gave me access to Gara, the blueprint for Gara. I do really want to farm this Warframe. I don't know if I will take some time now or later to farm out this Warframe, but Gara, if I remember, is a really cool glass themed Warframe with some really interesting capabilities, so I'm sure we'll take a look at her eventually, but this is where you get it from, and I'm really glad I got that. To wrap up this episode, because like I said, I don't want it to be too long right away. Again, let me know your feedback on the length of this episode, whether you like the voiceover or would prefer maybe even some in-game voice. Let me know about that as well. But we were able to unlock the relay. This is the one that takes us to Venus, and it's guarded by Volt. Really not too much of a problem. It's obviously an introductory world, so it's not supposed to be too difficult. I just rolled up to Volt and took him out with a couple melee strikes and was able to get a bunch of blueprints, bunch of mods, and unlocked our next adventure. So we're going to be continuing this on Venus next time around. I will be sure to point out hopefully anything of interest that happens in the episode as best as I can, as well as provide any tips that I can while going through. Hopefully this was a smooth experience. Any feedback is welcome. Criticism, bring it on, is fine. Like I said, this is a new series, so I am going to try to make it as best as I possibly can. So all of your feedback is welcomed, please. And thanks for listening if you did make it this far, and hopefully this will be a fun little adventure. Well, see you all next time.